Welcome back, guys, to Reinvented. Today I have, how do you say your name? It's like, how do you say your name again?
Sandra Ammerlaan.
Okay, so Sandra. Sorry, like my screen makes it like yay big. I'm like, you can't see that. So I have Sandra today. Would you like to tell us a little bit about what you do?
I live in the Netherlands, and I launched a concept called Laugh at Shit. And I guide women how to make the shit from the past the fertilizer of the future. So I never thought I would do something like that because actually I've been through some difficulties and adversity in my life, and at some point I thought, what am I going to do to become a better person or a better version of me? How can I move forward? So I was always thinking about what other people would think and what other people would do, and I was not living my life. I was living the life that I thought that other people would want me to live. So meeting expectations is really hard, and after being in a relationship over 10 years with a narcissist, I went into a depression. And so as I went on the way of self-development, I discovered that I did NLP, and I found out that I was really good in guiding other people. So yeah, that's when I launched the concept, and now I do coaching and I do stand-up comedy.
And so, do you think, like, in learning all this, you found like a better version of yourself, per se?
I do think so. I think that we all grow each and every day, and you can never avoid any difficulties in your life because it's going to happen anyway. As much as I hate to admit it, I'm going through some challenges at the moment right now, and I've been in a pretty low place again. But I know there's always a way out. Sometimes the worst things in life that happen are actually the best things that happen, even though you don't see it right now.
And so, what's something that you like personally do to like kind of get yourself out of that like low point, like low mentality?
That's a good question for now. That's really relevant at the moment because I had some difficulties since last year. Went through 2 major surgeries, lost my job in not so such a nice way. My dad passed, so it was a lot of adversity. And I thought at some point, how the heck did I come up with the idea, laugh at shit? That is like asking the universe, oh, you want to laugh at shit? Here's more shit, and see what you do with it. And then I thought, after the last surgery in April, I was doing a lot better, and I started playing stand-up comedy a lot more. I overcame my anxiety for speaking in public, and I was on the roll, and I thought, yeah, finally my life is starting. That didn't last that long because after, I think in May, I started to have some complaints, and I didn't know what it was. And then I figured out, I quit smoking. I thought it was that after 30 years, but then it was menopause, and I never knew that menopause would be such a struggle. And if I'm really being really honest, last week or 2 weeks ago, I had the GP on the phone, and I literally asked her to come by and just I said, give me a needle or something, but I don't want this anymore. So I've been on such a low place, I just didn't know how to get myself back up again. And today I'm having a really good day, and I think sometimes you have to admit that you need some help. And I went through, when you start letting go of the resistance, that's when you can grow again. And I am a fighter, so that's really hard for me. It's really a good thing to fight and not give up. But sometimes it is also not the greatest thing to. Sometimes you need to know, okay, this is learning me something. I have to stand still, and I'm really impatient, so that's really hard. But I am getting there now, and take each day as try to take each day as they come. That's the best thing I probably would suggest, and it is okay not to be okay. Even though we want to be okay all the time, but no one is happy 24/7.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But it's really hard. Most people want to be happy the whole time, and it's just not, it's impossible.
Like, did you ever, like, in your life, like, feel like you, like, had to, it was a thing to be, like, happy 24/7? Like, you were trying to find that 24/7 happiness?
Yeah, yeah, I think I've been looking for it for a very, very long time. And actually that is maybe the main reason why some people are really unhappy, because they don't know what their happiness is. For example, if you don't know what your purpose is in life, I met people that were just having a job and they didn't even like the bloody job. They were doing it like 5 days a week and they were hating it, and they were telling me about it, and I said, why are you even doing it? Yeah, because then in the weekend they could have a drink or whatever, go out. So they were having a horrible week during the week, and in the weekend they had to recharge to go back to another bloody week. And I thought, that is not how I want to live my life. So if you can find peace, you will find happiness.
Do you think, like, there's, like, maybe finding, like, an inner peace within yourself?
Yeah, because everything that you're looking for is inside yourself. And the first time they told me that, I really hated it, because I thought, yeah, well, maybe, I mean, we all have these excuses, or think that maybe, well, for example, some people think that a new relationship will make them happy. If someone else loves you, it will make you happy, but actually it's not. The only person that can make you happy is you. But we are too blinded to be in our own way. And that's what I said to my psychologist this afternoon. I said, I know I am my own problem, but I am sitting in my own way. I'm making it so hard on myself, and I just don't know how to stop it. But then I figured, yeah, I do know probably, and I always make a joke out of it, because then I say, yeah, but my butt is also really big, so yeah, I mean, you don't get it out of the way that easy. So there's always a joke, and when you can laugh at it, it always lightens things a little bit up.
And then also, like, I guess maybe, like, laughing at, like, I guess, like, problems in your life. Like, does it, like, some people, like, does that come across to some people, like, maybe in your day-to-day life, or you just come across, does that come across as, like, oh, why are you doing that? Like, do people ever ask you that?
No, not really, actually. Well, a friend of mine actually did, because in my stand-up comedy at this moment, I have a lot of jokes about myself. I have a good opinion about myself and about being overweight. So I make a lot of jokes about it. And while I'm now going through the adversity of the menopause, when I healed that part and I'm okay again, I will definitely make jokes about that too. I make jokes about my dating life, and some are not. I mean, the story itself is not funny, because I've been hurt. Hey, I've been heartbroken, whatever, but. It's not about how the situation is, and I'm not saying that you can do this overnight, because you can't. You need time and you need to heal. But if you find another way, another angle to look at things. It's not about how it is. It's about what are you going to do with it. So, like for example, I make jokes about being in a narcissistic relationship for 10 years. I make jokes about it right now. And I think it's funny. But some people might not think it's funny because maybe they're in the middle of it, but I hope that with my comedy or whatever I do, I hope to inspire people that they always have a choice. Even when you don't think you have one, you always have a choice.
And then also, like, with your stand-up comedy, do you ever, like, I guess come across people who are like, well, why are you saying something like that? That's not funny. But they don't understand that it's coming from like your life and your point of view.
No, actually, no, because the funny thing is that while I was doubting myself, the last few open mics, especially, people came to me and they said, I really, you are so authentic that I really got the story, so that it really got to them in some way. And I am not, I'm not, how you're going to say that, I don't like make jokes about other people to put them down. I know some comedians do that, and I really don't like that, because you don't become a bigger person when you make someone else smaller. You become a bigger person when you uplift other people. And so I think that it's more the other way around, because I know some comedians who do that, who actually put other people down. And I get really frustrated about that.
Do you ever like go to like open mics and you kind of see like people do jokes like that and you're just like you're like, that's not really like that's making someone like feel bad and like look smaller?
Yeah, and I actually know one comedian, and I really like him. He is really very good. He has a lot of experience. He's young, but he's really good. Although he made a joke a while ago, and it was about a narcissist. But he took it from a different angle, and he said something like, every woman right now has an ex that is a narcissist, and they weren't the narcissist when they fell in love, so maybe they have to wonder who is the narcissist. That kind of got to me the first time I heard it, and I thought, do I like this? No, I didn't like the joke. But humor is different for everyone. And as long as you don't harm anyone, I think, it's okay. I know comedians that make jokes about, how do you say that, more small talk. But most comedians make serious jokes about things that are happening in their lives. So, I think, and you cannot always like everyone and everything.
And then, like, I guess maybe like being and like going to just open mics or doing all that, like, do you ever like, have you ever had an experience where you just thought the jokes weren't funny or they were just kind of like condescending? But then it's also my responsibility, because if you go on stage and you are not in the right energy, the jokes won't come across. And I had it was kind of like a dinner show the other day, a few months ago, and there was a comedian playing before me, and he had a guitar, and he had a really, how do you say that? His humor was putting other people down, for example. And while it was in between dinner courses, they laughed at him. And I had to go right after him. But he already tore the place down, so there was nothing left for me. And I stood there and I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I thought, you know what? With the menopause, also my short-term memory is not working really well. So I forgot my text, and I thought, well,
okay, let's just see how far I can go and what I can do. And not all the jokes were going on it, and they were not laughing as much as they normally would do. So I improvised a little bit, and then I thought, okay, you know what? Let's keep it to that, because sometimes you cannot change the situation, and that is probably why I started doing stand-up comedy, because it's overcoming fear, most of all.
And do you think, like, how long do you think it took you to overcome the fear of, like, being on stage and maybe not impressing everyone?
Well, I think until recently, because last year, December, the end of November, I went to the UK and I received an award for Speaker of the Year. I came back on a Monday, and on a Tuesday I went to a famous comedy club in Amsterdam, and I was scared to go inside. That's how strange it was. And I was only going to look at other comedians. I wasn't even playing. So it was really, really, I mean, most people are afraid of speaking in public more than they are afraid of dying. So it took me a while, and I think I'm still getting nervous. I think the last few weeks it has been less. I was somewhere in September, and there was a quite well-known comedian playing, a Dutch one, and I was so nervous I thought I was going to faint. And looking back, I thought, why? Because he is just another person. We're all human.
And do you think, like, people should, like, if they ever want to get into, like, stand-up comedy, do you think people should learn to realize, like, everyone's experiences are different? People are going to laugh at different things.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because people are going to laugh at different things, and some things may work better on different people. I mean, Wednesday I had a very young crowd, and they were laughing about a lot of things. They were applauding, and I thought, wow, what's going on? It's even going better than I thought. And I was having a kind of a struggle during the day with my mood swings. So that was really good for me as well, that it went so well. But younger people have different humor than older people. So it's different every single time. And I think the good thing for me is that I learned to not having to satisfy everyone, because you can never satisfy everyone. You cannot make everyone laugh, and you don't have to, because it's not your business, it's their own business. And so that means not just with laughing, but also making people happy. You cannot make everyone happy. Just make yourself happy, and other people around you that really love you, they will become happy too.
And then, like, I guess, in a sense of, I think of how to word this. When did it take you to realize, like, that not everyone's gonna like you, in a sense of, like, your comedy?
I think I realized before that not everyone is going to like me, but I had a hard time handling it. And I think this year it really got down to, I remember I had an open mic, was very nervous, and I was overdressed, according to most people, because I am a person that puts on glitter and glamour, and most comedians don't do that. So they thought I was overdressed. I was very nervous, and I had very little experience. And two other comedians thought, she's gonna go off the stage crying. We'll help her. So they tried to do something so that I would be nervous, and they didn't really motivate me. And changed my place. And then I came on stage, and I looked into the crowd like I was looking. It was almost like I was a reindeer that got hit by a car. And I went like, oh shit. And everyone started laughing. And because everyone started laughing, I started laughing too. And I just went on. And it went really well. And that was such a game changer. Because I came off stage and I was so proud, and I thought I did it anyway. And from then on, it changed, and it's I'm learning and growing every single time. Monday, I'm doing an audition for the Comedy Talent Award in Holland. It's 5 minutes, and I always have a problem with timing. I don't never know how much time I have left. I have another one tomorrow, also 5 minutes, so I can check and then see, and then maybe adjust something. But now I realize that I'm not so nervous anymore as I used to be. So, but it took me a long time.
And then also, like, I guess it's a timing thing. Do you ever, like, get a little, like, nervous at the, maybe who's ever hosting it, or just, like, do you ever, like, kind of look to the side to see if, like, because sometimes I've noticed they use, like, cameras on their phone, like, to signal. Do you ever, like, get nervous, like, oh, I should have paid more attention?
Yeah, I do. And I also, I get nervous for sometimes from other people that are, because I might look up to them because they are more famous, have more experience, or they are doing really well, or, but when you realize that everyone is just one person, and they all started somewhere, and no one started at the top. No one ever starts at the top. So whether it's whatever you do, if it's comedy or whatever you do. So for me, it was kind of hard. This year, I really paid the attention to the comedy much more than before, because before I was more on the coaching side, and I was actually planning on having an online program ready by now, but due to the circumstances, I do not have my coaching program ready, and I only do the one-on-one coaching right now. But I focus more on the comedy side, but it's really hard to put them together.
And then, like, what is something that you feel like people kind of misunderstand about you, or like what you do?
That's a good question. I think at this moment, I used to think that everyone always sees what you put out on social media, or it doesn't matter what you put out in the world. But I always say, don't judge a book by its cover, because you never know. You can only look at someone, but you cannot look in their heads. So while everyone probably was thinking I was doing fine behind the screen, behind the scenes, it was not going so well. For example, 2 weeks ago I had a gig, and I was literally so depressed. I had no idea how I was going to go through the 10 minutes, but I managed. And one of my best friends were there, and he's really funny. He's also a comedian, but he's really funny. And he said to me when he got in the car, he said, "I've got everything to get you through the night." And he had some kind of sugar that really helps and gives you energy. And he said, "I'll get you through this." And he said later on, if you didn't know, he knows his story. He said, but no one would notice. So you never know what's inside a person. And so the people that are really close to me, they know me, they know the real me. And the other people, well, I think it's not like misjudging or but you never know everything about anyone. You don't even know everything about yourself, because you're growing through your life.
And I guess in growing, did you ever feel like there was a point in your life where you kind of felt like, I'm not growing, I'm not changing, and then you kind of, I guess maybe later on realized you grew from a certain situation?
Yeah, I think that on the moment itself, you never realize. You think that you're stuck. And last week, I thought I was really stuck, and I thought, I don't even know how I'm going to get out of this. But sometimes I say, sometimes you need to be in a dark room. And when it's really dark in that room, you just need to sit there, because there will be a light that goes on. There will be a star or an end of the tunnel, whatever you want to call it. But sometimes, if you don't know what darkness is, you can also not know what light is. And maybe the people that went through the most darkest hours are maybe the happiest with the smallest things, because normally that's why I find it so strange right now. I can laugh about just anything normally, and I laugh a lot and hard. And now I feel like I'm stuck or something, and I don't even know. I cannot even put my finger to what is going on. And apparently, it's mood swings which come with menopause. But since it took so long, they are not sure. Some of the how do you say that? Some of the things that I have right now that I'm experiencing could either be menopause or depression. So they don't know where it comes from. And I just didn't want to admit, because I keep saying I'm not in depression. I'm not in depression. And this afternoon I said, like a friend said, it doesn't matter what it's called, as long as you get out of it. And I thought, that makes sense. So I don't care whatever medication I need to take, as long as I'm getting out of this and can move forward again. But you need to, sometimes you need to stay in the moment and be in the darkness. And when you get out of it, it will be so much better. I mean, after I went through my depression years ago, I never expected that my life would be that great that it became. So I'm now relying on that my life, but let's say, okay, this year is almost to an end, but let's say 2024 is going to be my year. I'm not sure how, but it's going to be the happiest year of my life. And then after 2024, 25 is going to be the best year of my life. Because if you look at it that way, if you look at your life that every year will be the best year of your life, you will change your mindset.
And then, do you ever feel like when you're like in that low point in your life, does it feel like kind of like a wall that you're like trying to kick, but that you can't, I guess, break down?
Yeah, you could look at it that way. Or I just sometimes I felt like I was in a complete dark room and there was no light switch. As if I was, a few weeks ago I said it was like I'm in my body somewhere. I am somewhere, but trapped. I feel like I'm trapped. And there is this monster that took over my thoughts, my feelings, whatever, and I have no control over it whatsoever. That's kind of how it, because I react in total different way than I normally would. And I think for some people it feels like they're kicking a wall, they cannot break through the wall. Other people might get, like, how do you say that, trouble breathing. As if they got like, if they're choking. For every person it comes out in a different way, but when the time is right, and you had adversity, if you have adversity but you keep pushing it away, it's not going away. It is going to stay somewhere, and it will come back to you, and you can keep pushing it away, but it will come back until there is to a point that when you can no longer push it away, and then it will be there, and then you need to deal with it anyway. So better deal with it sooner than later.
And then, like, is there, like, when you're in that low point in your life, do you have, like, I guess maybe certain hobbies or maybe certain people you kind of, like, latch onto to help get out of that? Like, you know, to kind of deal with it and help get out of that?
Yeah, I have a few very, very good friends. I always say to people, make sure that you got a right inner circle around you. And it might not be your family or your blood relatives, but make sure that it's the people that you can be yourself with. that the people that accept you who you are. For example, I have this comedian friend. We haven't known each other for a really long time. I think it's this week is a year ago that we met, and he became really close. He's really supportive throughout the whole thing right now. And I have another friend that I've had for years. She sometimes kicks my butt, which I also need. I think friends should always be honest with you. They should be able to listen. They won't judge you, because the people that understand will not judge you, and they will support you, but they won't let you. How do you say that? Suffer in your self-pity. So, I mean, you can be sad, no problem, but as long as you don't go in the self-pity mode and stay in there.
Have you yourself ever, like, I guess, stayed in a self-pity mode and maybe not told anyone?
Yep, but I'm telling you now. Yeah, I think, but the thing with me is that I am, like I said, a fighter, so I always, I wouldn't say that I would kick my problems away, but like, for example, well, let's take the example that my dad passed away. That has been in April 2020, so that's like over 3 years now. But grief is an ongoing process. It's not like you grieve is not like you do that 2 weeks and it's gone. And what for me, I always say, and I've got that from my mom, I guess, and my dad was kind of like that as well, that no matter how sad I am, my dad is not coming back. My dad would want me to be happy. So it's no use to worry or feel bad about it. But that is probably not the best way to handle it, because grief comes in waves, and sometimes you get another wave. For example, I was doing something in the kitchen yesterday, and I've got a photo frame with a photo of him there, and I looked at him and I missed him so much that I started crying. And then I thought, okay, just let it be for a while and just cry for a while, because that will take the emotion off. And then after a few minutes it's gone again, and then it's okay. So sometimes you just need to take a little bit of time for it. And what we all do is we are too hard on ourselves.
And like, what would you say to someone who I guess is being too hard on themselves, like, also from like your perspective?
Talk to yourself as if you're your own best friend or the love of your life, because you are the one that is going to stay with yourself the rest of your life. So if you, for example, would you treat your best friend the same way as you treat yourself? Would you talk to your best friend the way you are talking to yourself? And I bet to most people that are listening right now, the answer is no. Because I've been doing that my whole life, and I'm still doing it sometimes. I mean, if I talk to my best friend, I probably say a lot of different things than I'm telling myself.
And like, kind of piggyback on that, what do you think like your biggest failure is, like in your life or career-wise?
My biggest failure. Oh, well, I don't know. I think I failed a lot of times, but maybe the failure shouldn't be seen as a failure, because it's something that you grow from and you learn from. And I think that this is a really good question, because it makes me realize that I changed my mindset on a lot of things. Things that I used to see as a failure, I now don't see as a failure anymore. For example, I had my own jewelry studio, and I started that in 2008. And after 5 years, I had to give up because the jewelry business wasn't so good. I was open 2 days a week, and I was on appointment, and I made jewelry for people for like weddings, designed and whatever. But instead of opening more every single time, I had to close the shop because I didn't make more money, because a kind of recession came in and stuff like that. At that time, I saw it as a failure. Now, if I look back, I think no, because in that time, I got picked out, and I went to the biggest consumer beading show in the world in Milwaukee, USA, and I taught 2 classes there. How awesome is that? I mean, that is something that no one ever can take away from me. So it depends on how you look at it, but everyone fails. But if you fail forward, it's no problem.
And like with like failures and kind of, I guess, seeing like the positive side of them, did it take you a while to see like, okay, I may have failed, but something good came out of it?
Yeah, because another failure. Okay, this is getting a little bit emotional, but I'm going to share it anyway. This is this is actually quite recent, of course, because I'm in the menopause right now. For example, my dad, for example, wanted to be a granddad a lot. He wanted to have grandchildren, blah blah blah, and well, I failed in the relationship with a narcissist guy. But that was not all my fault, of course, but I had a miscarriage, and that's why the relationship also ended, and that is something that needed to happen. So looking back, I say that the miscarriage was a miracle in disguise, because I don't know if it didn't happen, if I would have stayed with him and never would have gotten out. But after that, I thought I still have time, and it just didn't happen. I didn't find anyone else, which sometimes made me feel like a failure, because I was probably too picky and too busy with my own life. But I mean, I don't have a partner, so that feels kind of like a failure in some way. But also, now that I'm in menopause, the door closed. I will never have children. So when before my dad passed, we talked about it, and I, at some point, I always felt like I disappointed him, because he wanted to be a grandfather, and that's what most women are born to. That's an old-fashioned thought, but most women are born to have babies, and I even taught myself I couldn't even do that. But my life is just different. I couldn't think about having a baby right now. I mean, wouldn't know what to do with it, because I have a total different life. But it did feel like a failure for a very, very long time.
And like in the sense of having that, I guess, kind of more like traumatic kind of experience, did it make you realize like maybe that you needed to leave that like relationship?
Well, I think recently, because it's a process. I mean, when I came out of the depression, I was busy with my own life. I met someone who broke my heart, and I wasn't really that lucky. But they say when you're not focusing on it, it will come. I don't know. I haven't been focusing on it a lot, and I was actually pretty happy with my life as it is right now, until the menopause came along. And when I was feeling so low the last few months, I thought, at some point, I really wish that at some point you wanna. I don't believe that people are meant to live their lives all by themselves. So I think that everyone wants to be seen, heard, accepted, and loved. And I really do miss, every now and then, I really do miss having a partner. On the other hand, when I was just in my normal mood and feeling well, I mean, I like to go to open mics, so I'm gone on the evening quite a lot. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if a partner would like that, for example. I know the right one will come along and he will be okay with it and you will figure it out anyway. But I mean, if a relationship means like, I cannot do my own stuff anymore, I don't want to do it. So I think when you're growing older, you're also getting, how do you say that, more picky? But you just know what you want, and you want other people to respect you and treat you. And I just don't want to be with someone because I cannot be alone, because I can be alone on my own very well. I like spending time alone as well. Or because someone doesn't have anyone else and he wants to stay with me, you need to want to be together equally as much.
And like, even I guess like being in a relationship and being doing your own separate things, but I guess maybe somewhat doing them together, like being supportive of each other.
Yeah, I think a really good relationship is when you help the other person to become the best version of who they want to be, and you respect and accept them the way they are, and you want to. I would want my partner to experience the most happiness that he can experience. So, for example, if I now know how much I've changed and how much my mindset changed since but I'm now 47, and when I was 18, I thought a lot of different things. But now, for example, if I find a partner and he wants to, I don't know, let's say he wants to go on a holiday with a friend, he should be able to do that. Because that's what makes him happy. I mean, it shouldn't be like, oh, you cannot go because now you're with me and you need to go on a holiday with me. I mean, if you can find a way to spend time together anyway.
And do you think a lot of that's like built on like trust?
Yeah.
Kind of trusting that they're not going to do something they, I guess, shouldn't do.
Yeah, I think everything is all about trust. I mean, and if, for example, I don't know, whatever he wants to do, if he, for example, wants to cheat, then it wasn't the best person to be with in the first place. I mean, I already experienced people that cheated on me, so I mean, yeah, it hurts, but it doesn't say anything about me. It says something about the other person.
And like, in a sense of like, you said you've had someone like cheat on you. Did you ever like think about like going back like to them, or were you kind of just like, I'm done with this. I'm gonna separate myself from you?
I think the first time that had happened, I was very young. I was like 24. And no, I didn't get back together at that time because no, that wouldn't have worked. And but now, I mean, if it depends, I think it depends because, for example, if someone cheats, there is something not. In my belief, it's my belief that something is not right in the relationship already. Because if everything would be fine, there would be no reason to cheat. So if someone is cheating, there is something behind it. I literally had men because at some point you go on a dating app, and I had someone. I make jokes about this too, but I had someone that was married, for example. And normally I would just cut the conversation off, but I just wanted to know what was on his mind. Why would he then... some men don't even know why they're doing it. And I remember one time I said to a guy, I said, what if we have an open relationship? I said, does your wife know as well? And I said, what would happen if your wife did what you do? Yeah, he couldn't answer that. So I think if you love someone, but that's my opinion, if you love someone, you wouldn't want to hurt them. and you would be honest with them. But most of the time, it's a lack of communication as well.
And like in the like lack of communication, like in any type of relationship, what do you think like people need to work on?
On communication, yeah, actually, and that's not just a relationship, but in friendship, business, we people are programmed to assume. So, and we are we all think that we're kind of psychic. So but everyone sees the world in their own way, and every point of view is different, because you have a different view of the world than I have, and that kind of goes for everyone. So if you have like a different point of view, what I learned is I am really good in going into another person's shoes. So if, for example, you would tell me, today, I don't know, I feel like blah, 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 I'm going to try to understand. And I would, because I did so many on coaching, education, stuff like that, I know what kind of questions to ask. Because then I can understand instead of judging people or assuming. And in most relationships, friendship, business relationship, everyone assumes. That's why, for example, I have a friend who does use WhatsApp a lot, and she texts over back and forth, and that is not good for because it will come across in a different way than you mean it, and there's another argument born. So I say talk and be honest, and don't be afraid to be authentic and open.
And like with like people like nowadays, like texting so much and not even, I guess, on their phones all the time. Do you kind of feel like something kind of needs to change there, where like people need to communicate more like face to face?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's kind of funny, because at some point I came to my parents' house when my dad was also still alive, and it was a kind of like a family dinner or something. And I was just looking around, and every one of my family members had a phone in their hand, including my dad, who was sitting with his phone going like, I said, what is this? And I say, for example, one of my best friends can do it really well as well, and I do it too. If, for example, I'm talking to you, my phone is on the other side. You might have to look, because if there's something important that you're waiting for, okay, I get it. But talk to the person. I mean, and it's really handy that we can talk like from the other side of the world, and that we can connect. That's really easy, really handy. So that's really positive. But I remember when I was young, I had to write my pen pal in the UK a letter by hand, mail it to her, and then wait for 2-3 weeks to get another letter back. But that was exciting at the time. I was like 13, so it's like 34 years ago. But that was exciting at the time. I mean, now it's social media is a good way to get the biggest misunderstandings, I think.
Do you feel like with social media, do you feel like it's like one of those things that maybe you use it for like your career-wise, but do you feel like otherwise it can be kind of like toxic?
Yeah, sometimes it can be. I mean, I like to watch feel-good movies. I also like to watch, I don't know, those talent awards like HET or something, with the auditions when someone went through something and then makes a really good audition, and Simon Cowell is going to yell, blah, blah, blah. That makes me feel good. Or little babies that are cute. I really like that. I'm not into the cat thing that everyone likes so much, but I do think it's kind of toxic, because at some point you're scrolling, and before you know it, you're an hour of scrolling further. And I use it for career-wise and to connect. I mean, also with people all over the world that I know, and it's also for the one-on-one coaching. I also use like Zoom or whatever. But I really like, I mean, with all COVID thing, it was a good thing that we could all go online. But I really do like the real connection.
And do you ever like feel like, I guess what we call it here is like keyboard warriors, like hateful people, kind of like, do you feel like a lot of people use like social media to, hide behind their own insecurities?
Yeah, and I do think I have some jokes about it. Like people say they are. When you go on social media, either people are complaining, or they're talking about whatever problem they have, or they are talking about they are really different people than they are in real life. They are. Let's say sport. They're going to fitness. Blah blah blah. In the meantime, they're sitting on the couch eating sausages or something. But so everything is possible on social media. I mean, but it depends on the people themselves. How would you wanna come across? And I think that most people think that they have to do something or be someone or do something special to be special, but just be you, because that is special.
And do you, like, in a sense, of like social media, even if like, yeah, I guess maybe if you business-wise too, but do you feel like people should just like be themselves, like, and not try to like fake a persona?
That's always the best, but I know that most people can't, because we all try in some way to be the best version of ourselves, and sometimes that means that you pretend or you put on a mask or whatever. But it's also, what do you want people to see? I mean, for example, you can make things as big or as small as you want. I mean, the Dutch people are quite down to earth. I think in America you are more, how do you say that, enthusiastic. But we are really grounded, down to earth, and the saying like, just be normal, that's crazy enough. I think you should be as crazy as you can. That is normal, because being normal is the hardest place to be. Sometimes you need to be or go crazy a little bit. And for example, I went to New York in 2019 and I did a few open mics. You can make it as big or as small as you like. I mean, because I'm so down to earth, I don't make a big thing out of it. But I mean, I had 2 international awards. Yeah, so what? I'm still the same person. So, but normally people would say they're gonna brag about it, and I sometimes just forget. So it's what you want people to see, and it depends on the person.
Do you ever like feel like if you talk about your career like to someone, and like maybe not even in a bragging way, but like do you ever like feel like people like look at you differently than like, oh, I'm still this person?
Yeah, sometimes I think so, yeah, because people see what they want to see. They don't always see what is, they see what they want to see. For example, my parents had quite a big business here, and my dad was well known locally, and they worked their whole life so hard. They worked their ass off. And there were times that my dad wasn't even sure if he was going to make it to the end of the month, because, yeah, that's what you get when you're an entrepreneur, right? And in the end, they did better and well. And I remember a few years ago that I was at somewhere on the street, and an acquaintance came across, and he said, what are you doing these days? So I said, well, I've got my jewelry studio, and I've got a job, and blah, 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 I'm doing this, and I'm doing that. And he said, why are you working? Your dad has so much money. If he would, you don't have to work for the rest of your life. And I'm going like, what? And I said, well, I need to go by. And my friend was with me, and she said, why didn't you say anything? I said, it's no use. It doesn't matter what I say because people see what they want to see. I mean, most people saw that my dad in the end was able to buy a bigger house. They don't see that my dad gave up most of his life working 24 hours a day, that he sometimes, when we were kids, there wasn't time to go on a holiday to Spain or whatever. We camped outside our house, which was fun, and we were happy too. But so it means that you always, everything has a price, always. So if you want to make a lot of money, you need to work hard probably, or do things that, you cannot only do the things that you like, and everything has the price.
Do you feel like with like things kind of having a price, do you feel like the payoff is worth it?
You can only tell afterwards. I think for my dad, grew up as the youngest of 10 kids, and he had to prove himself his whole life because they thought he would never accomplish anything, and that must have been really hard. But at the same time, it was his motivation to do whatever he did. And I think before he passed, because he just fell asleep and never woke up again, so we didn't even know that the time was up. But we had some conversations before, and I asked him sometime, I said, are you really happy, or do you still want to do things? He said, no, he did most things that he made him happy. And if I think back, my dad did so many different things to make money or whatever. It's hilarious. He had more professions than could fit on one piece of paper. So he was happy with that. And I think for everyone, happiness is something different.
Do you feel like someone could see someone's happiness and be like, that's what I want, but like I guess in reality, like that's what they think they want?
Yeah, I think so, because I believe that most of the time what you see is what you might like, but there's always, like I said, a price to pay. So for example, I thought about this. If I wanted to be a famous stand-up comedian, honestly, I don't think so. And the reason why is I don't necessarily want to become famous, but it is what comes with if you want to change the world. What I want is I want to inspire people, I want to make people laugh, and I want to guide or help or whatever you want to call it. In some way, I want to make the world a better place by helping people to become a better version of their self, or making their life easier, giving them the tools to make their own life easier. So if that also comes with a price. So I might have to do things that I maybe don't really want to do, or like the stand-up comedy. I mean, if you'd ask me in January, for example, I was dying almost every single time I had to go on stage, and now I just go on stage and it's okay. So it is while you're growing, you always figure it out. So if your goal is to be, I think, let's say Obama wasn't born thinking, "Oh, I'm going to be a president when I'm older." It just came because of the steps that he took and the road he took.
All right, and the last question I have for you: where can listeners find you online?
They can find me on Instagram or Facebook, or they can sign up for my newsletter on laughatship.com. If they want to, they can also download a free visualization there. And well, you can find me under my personal name, Sandra Ammerlaan.
And with ending this show, is there anything you would like to add or end with?
I hope that if I at least inspired one person or made them laugh, then my mission is accomplished.
All right. Thank you for being on the show today. I do hope you have a great rest of your day. And thank you.
And thank you. Thank you for having me. It was really nice to talk to you.
Thank you. I know.